I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So let's roll it on. Bill Bowman, John Smith, I knew John was going to be absent. Holly Nathan. Here. Nancy Russell. Here. Tim Armstrong. Here. Becky Beasley. Here. And I'm here. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I've got a couple things I would like to add. Can you pull personnel out of consent? Got a couple questions on the minutes. So that would be D. I'd like to add a discussion about reporting our committee meetings to post online. And then just a couple of short questions on the next steps on the book challenge. So that would be D.
Okay, hold on. So you're adding under discussion. Discussion. So D.
Yeah. D is just the personnel minutes. E would be recording committee minutes or meetings, not minutes. And then F, question about the next step on the book challenge.
Okay, so F, per our rules in that too, we're done with the book challenge. We voted on
What
it.
rule is that?
Once the board is voted on, it is in our bylaws, and we shouldn't have had it on the agenda, honestly, the meeting afterwards. Once the board votes on it, the board supports it.
We can have a discussion about the ethics policy if that's what you're referring to, but if we want to do that, it should have been consistent for all board members for all years. And previously in 2023 and 2024, when we voted unanimously on policy 3010, a few months later it was brought up, discussed again for several months. So there's precedent that board members have brought up questions about something that had been decided on previously. So for the sake of fairness and transparency, I would strongly object to it not happening when somebody else asked for it.
So are you asking to discuss a policy?
No, it's next steps. I have a question about.
Okay,
I'm not looking to discuss the books.
You're looking to discuss the book challenge, the next steps of the book challenge.
Yes, I have a question about
there are no.
I have a question about the timing of some things for the next steps. I'm not looking to discuss a book that is not on the agenda. But again, previously in the past, board members have shared objections and brought things up for discussion that were previously voted on. So that is not an established procedure for the board.
So the question being timing of things of the book challenge, I don't understand what you're trying to discuss.
That's what I wanted to add. That's why I wanted to add it. So it's on the agenda. Right now, we're just approving the agenda. So it's the appropriate place to add it.
I think we should vote on if we want the agenda amended as it is. And we should take a roll call vote to determine if we want these items added or not.
We can vote on one by one.
Okay.
Okay, so the
Personnel minutes.
item D, personnel minutes. We should roll call vote this.
So you want an individual motion made to add
Yes. Yeah, motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion on the floor is to add item D, personnel minutes, seconded by Nancy. Holly?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, so item D is added. Item E, recording of the committee minute.
What is the committee meetings?
Say the best.
Yes.
And second, is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Holly,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
and I'm. Next one, we have, what is it, timing of,
But the question about the next step on the book challenge,
so your motion is to add there.
add that as discussion item F.
Second.
Holly?
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Kim,
I'm gonna say no.
Becky? No. And I'm gonna say no as well, motion fails. Is there any other items to add to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda with the event for the under discussion decision items D and E?
Motion made.
Second by Kim, motion by Becky, second by Kim. Holly,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
and I'm with us. On to library director's report.
We're about to do the consent.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
Motion.
Okay.
Holly,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Becky, yes, and I'm a yes. Library director.
Let me just turn this on before I start, because I won't stumble. I'm not actually doing the show, but I just want to make sure it goes before I start. Just get nervous.
Sure.
Most of my time I'm gonna give to Liz to do the update on the strategic planning. But I did bring a little show and tell, in the report that was in the packet, I mentioned these new items that we have. And I like to see things rather than just pictures, so I mentioned the Yodo players, and this is what they look like when you check them out. I don't have small children at home anymore, but I wish I'd had these when they were little, because they're these little standalone players. Each one comes with one book in it. This one has Winnie the Pooh storytime card in it. And the cool thing is, these are for little older kids. I'll show you the younger kid one. They're like screen-free audio devices. So all you do is you take a little card that says Winnie the Pooh. You stick it in after you turn it on. I can get it to turn on. Let me hold it. And see a little dot. A little face shows up. And then you stick it in.
Never seen that at the previous back.
And you walk them through, and they learn how to, basically all they can do is forward or back. You can go forward to the next chapter. You turn it down, you can use headphones. And then when you pull it out, it stops. So it's very low tech audiobook for kids. A lot of families are starting to not encourage screens as they're younger. Then we have a number of these little kits we're checking out that have different book series in them. This one is the Boxcar Children collection. And so we had to figure out, these are just little cards so they can get lost easily, and they are expensive. So we put them in these little cases to check out. And you can take this out, and it has 4 Boxcar Children books, whole books on it. So you could take it on a road trip or whatever. And I've seen there's a kid at my gym who's like 5, who sits on the chair while mom's working out, listening to his little book. So that's a new product that we just added to our library of things for kids. And I don't know the number of how many of these we have, but we have quite a few of those. Yeah, and it's, there was something on our library blog, recently, which is what I clipped from for the report. And I refer to our blog all the time. On the homepage, further down, it'll just say like new at the library or news, and that's the blog. So you can always get stuff there. So that's a Yodo player, and it's the grown-up version of, the big kid version of Tony's. Anybody here who has little kids has probably heard of Tony's. Again, my kids lost the boat on this. So this is for little kids, and it's indestructible, it's soft, so you can throw it to another kid. You touch the ears and it starts to blink. And then they get these little, and when you put it, so it does various things and it talks to them and then just turns off with that. So little kids love this because they can make it do something. And there's books and there's different. Here's another guy. So this is Lamb.
Do we all sing?
I don't know.
There's different things and stuff too. They have stories.
I didn't test the lamb. I don't hear anything. So that is our nighttime music. So they can put it in their bed. These are big hits with little kids if you have any in your life. So they also cost a lot of money. So if you know anybody who would benefit from this, you can check them out for a week at a time. And this was a big hit. And parents were saying, but when are you going to get Yodos? And libraries were starting to, but it was trying to figure out how to deal with the little pieces. So I'm quite pleased that the staff came up with this. We probably stole the idea from another library. So I just like to show those things because they're new. And when I checked it out to myself to bring up here, it said, you saved $150 by using your library today. And I thought, oh, so that's how much it would cost if I lose it, which makes me a little nervous, but we always work with people that's the newest thing in youth. They're in the back corner where the magazines were before we moved the magazines up. So they're kind of back there and you have to know.
Sarah, you don't know how many Tony's or the Yodos that you have? You say you don't know.
I mean, I could look it up, but no. Shelves.
Yeah.
They're rarely on the shelf, so we got one for this with a big deal. So you can put them on hold if you're a card holder.
Like it.
And if you look at the blog, it tells you the starting collection. If you click on the link, which you can't on this piece of paper, but it takes you to the page on the website that's the library things page, and it will show you. So that took a lot of processing time. So when we buy things like this, we buy the product, then we have to buy a special case, and we have to make a little card, and we have to tape it to it and test if it works and things like that. And my staff take these pictures and they make them. So it doesn't come for a library, you have to kind of home row the solution. One of the staff I mentioned last month that just went to full-time, Caitlin, she does our processing. So she came up with this idea of taking the picture and putting it on. Because it's hard to help parents not lose these little gems. So I'm hoping people will risk the checking them out because it would be great for a road trip or something like that. So that is the update from the first page. I also put the numbers in from summer reading. Summer reading ended in Hartland at the end of July because school started this week. And we were up about 13% in the youth department over last year's numbers, which is really good. And adults said they were about 13% also, which is interesting, but they're different numbers if you look at the overall numbers. We keep year over year statistics, and it's nice to see. Increase doesn't always mean better, but it's always nice to see, right? So people are using the products and looking at the months. It's only 2 months, but and she broke it out by age. For the little kids, we talk about minutes read rather than like each book gets a thing because some books are longer than others. And the numbers were impressive. Liz put a bunch of pictures in, which she'll be showing some of them here. And she'll do most of those updates, so I won't belabor that. But I had 2 things that weren't in the written report.
two updates. One is about the Cromaine Commons. I signed contracts this week, which took a long time because it was a month ago that we approved the process. I naively thought we'd sign them like that next day, but first you have to make the contracts and run them through. We went back and forth a little on some things. The owner of Midwest, Mike Circa, is coming tomorrow to sign as well, and then we'll turn them in. There's a meeting next Wednesday at the township that will have to vote to approve the land use. And then Friday, there will be people out on the lawn doing the radar, checking underground thing. And they say after that, it'll probably be Monday or Tuesday that the fences go up. So things will start to happen. I've been in communication with schools. They know what's going to happen. They're happy it's the end of the week next week because we will put the sandwich board out and they'll tell their people. But it'll give them some time to prepare for not parking there. And they told me after Wednesday's meeting, they'd have more details for me, so I'll share them and look at them. But we should start to see some fun things soon. Liz is going to talk about the Heritage Garden, so I won't go into that. The other updates about the music hall roof, people in the community might have heard that we're helping the Hartland area project raise money to come to the roof. I've already signed a contract to do the two portions of the roof that are pitched. There's 4 roofs on the music hall. So there's big one, little one, and then 2 flat roofs on the additions. We pulled the 2 flat roofs out of this project to save money. We'll do those next year. They need to be done, but we're hoping we can break it up because the pitched roofs are where we've had leaks the last few years. So we're having it done. We've raised not a lot of money through the fundraising, but it's close enough that we're going to start it in just as soon as then. There's been a lot of PR in the community from the schools and Hartland Area Project, that's run by Brian Krause, who runs Waldenwoods, about the why and what. But basically, we administer the hall, so I'm administering the project. But we don't pay for infrastructure projects like that, so that's why we're fundraising. So if anybody has any questions, there's lots of details out there, but HeartlandAreaProject.org is the website where you can donate if you're interested in donating to the roof. And when I was on there to get that website address earlier, I noticed the Messiah, which will start ramping up here, but it is happening again this year on the 12th of December at 4 p.m. They won't sell tickets till October 1st, but they're adding a harpsichord this year. So, and part of their marketing is the new organ that we also helped fundraise for. So I'm pleased that we found a way to get the roof done because I was a little nervous. When they get us on their schedule. So I don't have a date yet. I assume soon, but we had to delay when we didn't know. So we have an agreement that they will get it done before they can. Right? Before winter.
Oh, okay.
But they don't have me on the schedule yet. So I am waiting to hear that. And so is the school. Someone just asked me to say. But those are the updates about infrastructure things. There should be lots more updates about the particulars of the plan once it's rolling. The rest, I think, is in the meeting minutes. So I'll push over to Liz, and I will go when you tell me.
Okay, so this is just a little update on the strategic plan for 25-26, which is now concluded. So this is just a high-level overview of efforts made in Q4, showing how like our staff time, resources, and energy work aligned with the library's long-term goals. So this is just a fun picture stuff everything because I wanted to put it in there. Go ahead and advance, Sarah.
I loved the decorations this year.
All right, so we were able to accomplish in the last year, we had 4 main goal focus areas, 32 key tasks, and 96 subtasks that got completed, and you can skip ahead, Sarah. I just did a snapshot of each of the previous updates, and so we are 100% done, but I just want to be fully transparent. We moved a couple of things that related to, like, we found there were budgetary needs for those items that were not budgeted for in this fiscal, so we moved them to where we could have the funds, and there were just there was a single project by the youth department. They were short-staffed for the bulk of the year because of folks having babies and someone, leaving. So they just had to defer theirs down. So I don't want anyone to like go back through and see Q3 and go, you're 100% done, but you did less things. That is a fact. Some stuff just required, a budget we didn't have in place. So you'll skip to the next one. So I just want to now overview just the highlights of just the last 3 months of the fiscal year, through the end of July. And that's just data from circulation. We're participating in a chamber event called Ignite Hartland, and that's part of being, community partners, just inviting people to participate in a punch card event. But if you could skip to the next. So a big and very visible goal that we completed was, installing the outdoor cold lockers. And, the importance of the outdoor cold lockers came through in our surveying. People wanted increased access when they don't have the same hours available as when the library is open. If they need to get their items quickly and, just want to do it as efficiently as possible without the interference of like a line or other folks. And if, some of the people just said to us, like, I got 3 kids in this car and I just want to pop out and pop in and I don't want to get hung up and I sure don't want to get them out of their car seats. And, sometimes people just don't want to keep one, right? Like they just want to grab their stuff and go, no friendly hellos. And then, it was an access point for folks who are ill or compromised. Sometimes going into a building is more than they can pull up. So they are popular so far. People are enjoying them. Essentially, what happens is if you put an item on hold and it has arrived, you have to specifically ask in the app or on the computer for it to go into the hold lockers, and then our staff place it in the hold locker. And then you just go to the hold locker and you wave your library card, and like magic, your door opens up and your book is in there. They can't be used for dropping off goods. But there is a drive-up depository in the parking lot, so they can do all the things that they need to do, whether or not the library is open or whether or not they feel like going on it.
How long do they hold them in the lockers?
Oh, that's a great question, Sarah. You know?
Same as inside, so a week.
Up to a week.
All right, next slide, please. Okay, so this is a little, like of a squishy thing. There's not a lot of pictures to show it, but, one of the things that I noticed is that we did not have an excellent, it wasn't like a wrap, but we did not have an excellent plan for stewardship and donor acknowledgement. We kind of, there were several people involved in the process. It might go out of order, and as such, that did cause us to, maybe like not do our best in acknowledging donors, getting them their, tax-related paperwork in a timely manner. And also, it's not a great idea to knock on a person's door when we'd like some donations, but to like just ignore them the rest of the time. And so, and that's really true. So, this is just a few pictures of like a donor to the Heritage Gardens, our summer concert series sponsors, and just I put thank you down at the bottom because you don't want to see a picture of me writing a thank you card. But Sarah and I met with I met with a few folks who do professional development for other organizations, and I just wanted to learn like some best practices of how to do a really systematized, clean way of just regularly checking in with our donors, making sure they receive notification and like also thanks because they could put their money anywhere, but they choose to give it to us. So we spent a year figuring out like when and how should we touch base with our folks so that they really feel valued and appreciated and in the loop about what we're working on. So there's nothing really super pretty about that, but it's very important. There is a library card sign up drive that was in the planning phase for this quarter. And for the first quarter of the new fiscal year, it's in the execution phase. So we basically always want to get more folks getting in here and get their library card. And so between the youth department and their school outreaches and our team and community relations, we really want to work together to just let people know it's easier than ever to get a library card. It's easier than ever to renew. And in fact, you can do it fully online now. And we just wanted to educate people about that. And then when we go out at the beginning of the school year at the request of schools during their opening days or their parent nights, and a lot of times we'll go and just sit there talking to people about what the library can offer to the students. And so we always do that, but we wanted to improve the quality of what we got out of that time. And one of the biggest things was we want these people to get library cards and utilize and know about the resources that the library has for them that can support their education. So we made a new bookmark, and you can get one if you need one. They're right outside, but it's specifically like, hey, did you know it's this easy? Scan this QR code, you can get right on the process. And this was really popular at those parent days. Lots of folks took it, and we are seeing a little upswing of library card registrations. We'll be tracking this though for July, August, September, because that's the time frame of the campaign where we're going to try to like really go at it with a whole team effort. And I just want to mention,
in 2025, 2026, we had a 7.6% increase in card holders already. So we're looking to do better in this fiscal year. And obviously the the Cromaine Commons and Heritage Gardens approval and permitting efforts were kind of like what everyone was waiting for, and they happened. But there's really nothing super pretty about that. That was just getting an official plan approved and getting the money in place, which, not gorgeous, not really sassy pictures, but super important to the project moving forward. And so we feel very happy to have reached that point. Next slide, please. So what are we working on next year, or specifically next quarter? My team, community engagement, marketing, we've been working on internal and external marketing and communication reviews. So internally, it looked like, how are departments feeling about being in the know on what's happening, getting questions answered, being aware of important strategic efforts that they should be moving us towards. And then externally, we have contracted with an organization that does social media reviews. Like, this is their wheelhouse. Nobody who works here is a professional social media specialist. We're all just kind of learning and trying things and experimenting. So we wanted to try to sort of like optimize what we're doing and be as efficient, but also as communicative and fun as possible. So we have received our marketing review and evaluation. It's like a 10-page document, sort of level setting. This is where we see you being. And then there's like a 40-page document that's like, this is all things you could do. But that does, sort of suppose that we have a full-time person that's doing that, which we don't. So my team is going to kind of like hone in on what would be the best things to work on in the new year. So these are just some fun pictures from our social media and, some new communications that we have internally and externally to let people know what's going on in the library. Did you have a question?
Yeah, so you had someone do a study about
Yes,
that?
so,
Okay.
so we contracted, so
Gotcha.
in-house, we all are just homegrown social media users and experts, if you will. And I use that term extremely loosely. Like, we taught ourselves all that we know, but we know that that is an entire field that someone might do professionally and go, that's not us. So we were like, how can we find out how we're doing now, according to someone whose job this is, whose expertise this is, and then what would be some low-hanging fruit and some longer-term ways that we could train our team to be as efficient, effective as possible, and to have fun with it and really put out information the public wants, not barrage them with too many things too often, because that can cause you to have people, just, okay, I'm tuning you out now. Too many things for me. So we're working on determining what that looks like for the future, but we do have some goals in my team to take some trainings and to actually one of the things that came back from the review is you're doing a lot. You could be doing less. And I was thinking I was going to be told, you need to do more. But one of the things is that we heard video is really performing for you. You're not posting it very often, and that's because it takes time and thought and care. And if you are on TikTok or Instagram, or you even see the older reels on Facebook ever, there's a real gulf of difference between like what somebody could do if they're really taking it seriously and being thoughtful and like kind of sloppy messes that can actually hurt you. So we want to try to err on the side of really good, clean, fun communication and nothing that people could take the wrong way or, not be too trendy where someone doesn't understand what they're seeing and then they're like projecting something that's not there. So we want to make sure we do a really good job. And we have a goal to move forward and get some trainings and get some great content continuing to come out. And I don't know if you know where the dinosaurs there, but our summer reading theme was kind of dinosaur related. So, all right, and this is a biggie. It is our centennial year, starting in January, and so I just have some pictures here, kind of showing that we will be doing sort of like a little bit of history, a little bit of looking back, a lot of acknowledging the partners and community members that have helped make Cromaine great, including former and current staff, and then we have a lot of fun themed things planned to happen. So in the upper right's a garden party. The middle left is a old timey band from the era of when we would have opened. And then we're gonna have some themed things. So the girl in the corner with the boombox, that's the 80s party that we're gonna have. And there's a murder mystery on there. And then, some historical pieces, some education along with some fun. And we have a lot planned. We will be doing a postcard early in the year that overviews the key items for our centennial celebrations, which will happen all year long. And people then can make a plan to be at some of those great events.
And this is the first time we've shown the logo. It's not a logo.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah.
The markup. Your staff made that?
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, and actually look at, Marisa just drew that, a sketch of the old, the historic entrance and, yeah,
That's cute.
so we're getting ready for Centennial, but obviously like the jewel of all the things we want to do in this upcoming year is next. We're gonna build the Heritage Gardens of the Cromaine Commons. And we just have a few pictures here of some of the items that are representative of things that will be in the Heritage Gardens or the Cromaine Commons. On the left there is just a rendered drawing of the pavilion, don't get too invested in the specifics here, but the train is actually exactly what we'll have. So, as the project progresses, we probably won't see any of these fun things until we get into spring. But we are hoping to have, kind of a functional space on Memorial Day, and I'm really gonna say some prayers that we do have a normal summer concert series with this great new space. All right, and next slide there. That's all I got. Any questions about the strategic plan? I have one other thing I gotta go through real quick, but I won't.
And that's a baby. She has had another baby.
Yeah, she's not on maternity leave, but she was a lot of fun with the dinosaur theme. She wasn't
She
afraid.
got all
to
into it. She's one who'll say yes when you say that.
Any questions? All right. Well, we're looking forward to sharing Q1 efforts in 3 more months, but I did want to just at call to the public, I think last meeting, there was a question about the public support for the Heritage Garden. So we know about what we had saved and we're planning to use for this project. We know about the grant that we received from Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation, but a community member had said, could I know about the public support for the project? And so I did put together, and I should also send these around. This is a full detailed summary of all the things that were done in the strategic plan, but I didn't want to go through all that. And then this is what I'm about to talk about. But we have just over $48,000 in public support for the Heritage Gardens. And while in essence, we said we're fully funded, everything costs more than you think it does. As we go along, we're finding out that there might be some we'll get the smaller one rather than the one we love. So there are some, compromises you have to make because everything costs more than you think it will. And 6 months later, everything costs more than you knew about today, right? So, but I did want to just quickly acknowledge we have received some really significant community support for the project. And anything that's above and beyond what we need will be used for long-term maintenance for the space. So I just wanted to acknowledge there was a $15,000 Legacy Grove sponsorship for pavilion naming by residents David and Karen Rex. A $10,000 Garden Grove champion sponsorship from resident Don Thompson. The Friends of Cromaine District Library donated $7,000 to be bench benefactors twice over, so that's really great. There was a memorial gift by Stacy Gillis for the Mark Gillis Memorial Fund. They raised $4,800 and they wanted to be a Shade Grove sponsor in memorial of Mark. Vera Adblad, Alice Weiland, Holly Naylor with Jane and Jim Curry have all come in as bench benefactors. And then Dane and Mary Morris came in as a Bloom Builder sponsor. And Kim Armstrong and Janine Bogolewski came in as sapling supporters. And I have talked to a number of other people who've expressed an interest and may yet come alongside the project. So we feel really good about the public throwing in on this. It just looks good to our funders as well that the community is as invested as they are. And I did want to just mention, because I have been asked this by several potential donors, is it too late? And it is not too late. When we're getting ready to throw everything on the lawn and actually have inscribed, things installed, then it will be too late. So if you had an interest or inquired about being a donor to the Heritage Garden Project, or if you are hearing about it for the first time and think that that's something that you'd like to do, there are flyers out on the table as you leave that kind of outline the different levels, the benefits to you, and sort of how we'll acknowledge you based on the different levels of support. So I'm really appreciative of all the donors who've come on board so far. I'll be working with them to make sure that the inscriptions say what they would like, and that we will also be creating a web page on our Cromaine.org site that will begin to outline what's happening on the lawn, and then the donors in perpetuity will be on that page. So people can see for a long time coming who supported the project. Any questions about that?
48,000 is great. I hadn't seen the whole number together, so I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm anticipating at least another 500 just from people who hadn't yet gotten to the pledge point, but they told me they're definitely coming on board. So I think we'll get about 50,000, and even more is better, but I don't want to be greedy. I just want to make sure we can pay for everything that we planned.
Well, and I'd like to thank Liz for always doing a good job, but I always know I get to let her talk.
Oh, what a job.
It really helps to have a staff member who is good at process, which Liz is, because I can be scattered with all the things I'm doing, and she's good at being like, you're supposed to do this by this week, right? And so it's very helpful to me to have all the products that we're using and stuff to keep us in line.
And when do you sleep?
I sleep plenty. Don't do a lot of other stuff, but
One thing I skipped over because I went right from my report to Liz was the review of year-end statistics, but Liz did touch on some of them. They're in your packet, and I put these in the packet every 4 months, but I fit 3 months, excuse me. I like this one the best because it's the whole year. So this is the whole previous fiscal year, and you can start to see some trends. I'm also doing the audit right now, so I've been doing a lot of thinking about last fiscal and wrapping up what we accomplished last fiscal. I can take any questions from you. I see a few things that I think are worth pointing out. You turn to the back page and you look under technology. Virtual library visits is our speed for seeing website visits, and you can see that the new website is paying off because we're getting a lot of use from that. Our database use, which is right underneath it, we have almost the same databases as we had the year before, but people can find them, right? So like having a more usable website is good. And this is after 2 years of the site. So it's not like both of these years are not the new site. There's still benefits to having invested in that. And that was a huge, both financial and staff time thing. So I'm glad we did it. Those are the two on this side of the page that really spoke to me. If you look at circulation, you can see trends with things. Self-check, which is basically just those self-check machines, they worked the entire year because I replaced some of them. So you see they went up 32% in use, and it's just because they were not down for months at a time. And I'm not saying that the numbers are that skewed, but I do think that that is nice to see. E-materials is way up. Every year they have been, but they went up 17% over the year before. And the amount we own has increased by 20%. So this library invests pretty heavily in the e-resources because people use it. And it's nice to see it being used. We're still seeing a trend of audio physical units are going down a bit, but people are still using them. So my staff keep convincing me with reports that we have to keep them because I keep saying we could use that shelf space, but the downloadable audio though, again, is up 39% in use. Crazy. Card holders Liz hit on, which I was gonna point out if we didn't, but they are total card holders is up, and we're hovering around. It's not on this page, but I just did it for someone else. Around 30% of our population has a card, which is good for life. Just having a card doesn't mean you use it, but it means you bother to come get one. Now you can get them online, which will increase the renewals, I'm sure. Because a lot of people are like, I just use your audio, your downloadables, I don't want to know. Or they live farther away, they don't want to have them. So I'm pleased that was easy to do. That does take staff time because you have to communicate back and forth and get a scan of their license and all that stuff. But I think it's worth it. Programming, they're all down for numbers and attendance, but that is because I gave them that direction because they were doing too much. And I'm really actually pleased that I think that numbers being down does not mean the numbers are not adequate. There's still 640 programs for the year. And the attendance, while it looks down when you look at the numbers, is still really adequate and good in my opinion. I'm seeing fewer programs that we spend a lot of time planning and working on having a few attendees, and I'm seeing more full programs. And that's more worth our time. from a staff perspective, and I think it's better for the community. The two people who come to the one that they really liked might disagree. Right? But I think that, that's by design, because I think when I started, we were doing so much. And I'm not saying it wasn't quality, but the staff were really stressed out. So I'm thinking we've been getting better. They still get worried, like, what if it fills? And I'm like, that is good.
That's good. Right.
So that was one of my directions that I gave to that. And is that it? Yeah, so the last thing, cardholders as percent of population, that's where the 31% is, and it's up 2%. So I'm pleased with the numbers. Sometimes numbers are hard to suss out. That's kind of how I would interpret it. I don't know if there's other questions.
Well, I just had a question about the physical items added. So that was 187% change.
Which one is that? Which
This is on a different, the activity.
Oh, that one, okay. Well, that's just month to month, so that one means less overall, but it probably means it was the end of the year. Is it a higher or lower? Because I don't have it in front of me.
180, like from 2025, there was.
Well, that's just the month of July. This is
So this is just
July.
for the
I'm
month.
looking at the year stats here.
Okay.
Although what you're seeing is, okay, so I can explain that one though. So
Was that,
July is the beginning of the fiscal, so they're not allowed to buy anything in
Okay.
June, and they're allowed to buy, but it's year over year. I think because we were using Amazon this year,
yes,
it just came right in. And it is a lot, but it's just, that's what that means. Yeah, and this is what populates.
Right.
Yeah.
right. No, I'd like to compliment, the numbers tell a story and do a really kind of putting it all together. It does represent the work that you and everybody's doing. These are, it's a good report and it's good. information.
I think that, we're still waiting to get, I just mentioned we are still buying from Amazon. I don't like it because it's not ideal for even finding books, because it's not the same kind of system, but they do come quickly. So there's that benefit, then staff have to do more with them here. We heard today that we are 10 to 12 weeks out from being in with Ingram, which is the company that we've been waiting to get on board with for a year, because everyone in the country is waiting, because one of the big companies closed. And then things might slow down because they're kind of overwhelmed, but at least we know how to use Amazon. If we have hot items that there's hold lists for, we can still fill those. The staff are like on pins and needles to get it going. They've done great. Nobody's noticed.
You have to catalog everything.
Yeah, but we have to do every book. You have to put the Mylar on it. You have to tape it. You have to do all this stuff. So when that changes, I think the staff are. But it's like the secret elves at Santa's workshop. But nobody really sees that. What they do. But I do. Darlene definitely notices, she has to rectify every purchase individually. Okay. There.
Sure, your notes from the professional development part of your report as well.
No, that was part of personnel, but we can talk about it, because I think that.
Well, I really appreciated taking the time to do the notes because it really gave an insight as to what's going on elsewhere.
Yeah,
And
and
I feel like so much of this, we're like, you could have given a session. Community convener.
Some ideas about what we're gonna work on next in personnel too. We're gonna work on an AI policy, because more of us are using it. And it's always interesting when you go to the annual conference because it's so big. There were 15,000 people there that I like to talk about what I was doing. The most useful for me was the pre-conference, which was a full day about capital improvement projects, because as I've learned, you can learn by doing, or you can learn a little and then learn by doing. But we are at the point in the project, which is where we work with a construction manager, which I'm excited to meet him next week. And I've met him virtually. His name is, I don't say something like that, but it'll be really good. I'm excited about learning.
He's gonna be your new best friend.
Yes, we're gonna meet once a week. And that was the type that they suggested, like have a point person and have them just meet with you as you go. So, when we talked about it at personnel, we did talk a lot about the AI in libraries, and it was from a policy standpoint, that one. And I mean, the key takeaway is if we have staff using it, we should have a policy, which we know. And now the AI is embedded in everything. It's not more like, what is it, which is what we did a few years ago when I brought that speaker in. It's more, it's there. And when I bring a vendor on, I need to ask them how they're using it, how our data might be used and things like that. So there's bits and pieces that I think it's going so fast, you can just let it go by and be trained by it, or you tell it. Yeah.
Very good work. Good. Love it. So review policy stuff, did you have anything else? Thanks for saying. 7003.
Yeah, I have a question, about the part that's been cut, so, so I'll read. This entire section is supposed to be struck from the policy. It's the evaluation of director and library staff policy. And fulfillment of this mission depends on a partnership between the library and its staff. The library respects every person's worth, dignity, capacity to contribute, and desire for personal growth and accomplishment. In return, the library depends on its staff to share a commitment to work for the achievement of the library's goals. So just curious to hear what the reasoning was for cuts.
Solely because to me it was, the library was being personified. So I just thought it sounded, it's like giving
Giving the library as a person.
as an identity
Right.
as a person, right? So to me, there was more of a grammatical thing. But
I mean, I like having those in there. I think that's
we
part.
can find another way to maybe word it so that it doesn't.
Yeah, the library is an institution, right?
Right, as an
Right.
institution, but
So,
but institutions can do human thing, you know what I'm saying? So
but they do with policy.
I thought that might have been the reasoning too when I first read it,
Right.
but then I started reading some of our other policies, and we say the library, we use it like a noun, and it is a little clunky.
Right.
But, I mean, yeah, striking these words out though is well more problematic, I think.
maybe we can take it back and try to come up with a better way, and I don't know if that means we're gonna have, I know, there are. That's the thing, then we're running into, okay, well, then we're gonna change every.
Yeah, we would have to go through
I-
the whole.
I think it's pretty common, like I know that at where I work, like the agency is spoken of as. Like, we do this, we do that, we respect this, right?
Right,
So-
we, but not,
Well,
not
it uses
like me saying,
because
because that's why we had staff and, director, we were saying. Who, that's what we have to.
Partly consolidated schools respect teachers, right? Like, it's a pretty common way of. research.
Or we,
Yeah.
we at Hartland Consolidated Schools.
Yeah,
I
that'd
don't
be
know, that's, it's just,
We at the library.
it's my thing, you can ask Darlene, it's, right, I'm always marking up stuff, but,
Yeah, so if you wanna take it back and edit it, but keep the intent and content, that would be fine. I do like the change from personal to professional growth in the second paragraph.
So you'd say go back to take it back to committee for the purpose of, you like how that's worded, we just need to figure out how to reword it. And that's how we were all kind of like in committee wording it and seeing what.
Yeah, and I'm looking at one we didn't change, which was 702, and it starts with the board of trustee believes that X, Y, Z. So it could be that the trustees are committed to staff. So I think we could do that, and we kind of gone back and forth in emails, like, maybe we didn't change it more, so
Right.
content, not just editing, okay.
So 702 and 703 back to committee.
702 we approved, all right,
Oh, that's.
yeah, that was just a.
That was just the.
That was in
But
the.
do we wanna take it back though, because the way we said the
No.
long trip, no, we're okay with.
It just said it for all three. There was no change.
Yeah,
Right.
and it says it as the trustees believe, so
Right.
that is.
703, that you can do. Any other discussion on 703? Item D,
We're sorry, can you do 702 separate?
That was
just-
that was in the consent agenda.
Yeah, I just have a question about it, just a generalized question. I know that the language said the handbook needed to be reviewed every 3 years. Are we on track?
We did it last year.
Oh,
Yeah, we rewrote it last year.
I thought
And so,
that was in my
Yeah.
memory, but I wasn't sure. Okay. Thanks.
Any other discussion on any? Okay. Personnel minutes?
Yeah, so, for policy 70005, reference going to the lawyer for certain verbiage, so I was just curious as to what is being looked at or what the concern was for that.
I think I can answer that. This one is about compensation, and it has the bits at the end. Part C, general guidelines 3, part C, and it talks about after a certain date, they get this kind of a bonus, and after a certain date. And I had a question that isn't in the policy that I want to read by the lawyer, and the question is, if a person leaves employment and then comes back, could we get wording in there about how long or whatever, like that they might get grandfathered in again? Because it was vague for someone that happened to, and we decided as a group, they agreed with my take on it, but I just was thinking for future, it'd be good to get that brightened up, because it's a rare case, but I think it's good when employees come back if you want them to, if you choose to rehire them, so I wanna make it clear. So that's the language, and I just need help how to write it.
And it had to deal with compensation too.
And then the other question for personnel, there was a suggestion to take the patron comments out of the director's report, so I was just curious as to why, because I love having those in there.
Well, the discussion with that, okay, so we talked to, there's also comments that come about that are very negative too, as well. We've heard a few of them in personnel. So it's like if you either put all the comments in or take them out, and Sarah had said that'd be a great thing to do at the staff meetings to acknowledge the staff that, staff meetings were patron comments.
I mean, I love hearing those because they're often about programs I don't attend or elements of the library, right? That I don't have young kids anymore. So the comment about story time gives me a broader perspective on what the library is doing. I think it's also pretty common for a lot of like testimonials, right? And businesses and organizations often include testimonials. I mean, if we want, like, I love having them in there. I think it's positive. I think it's positive for the community to see those in the board packet, and would be sad to see them go.
What would you suggest we put the negative comments in there as well? That's where discussion came up with personnel.
Well, I mean, we already made a decision on that, right? We've had negative critical emails come in that we decided not to put in the board packets, right? So we have the discretion to put in what we want. So no, I probably wouldn't put in the negative because it's a director's report, right?
Well, right. That's where the discussion came at as well, because it just, we're aware that staff gets negative comments as well from people. So that's where it kind of came up, and they, you know.
But if there are trends, you know.
Yeah, that
then
could come up for
that would be
discussion, but-
important that we would know about it probably, right, as a board.
And I'm sure not all of the positive comments make it in there either, right?
Yeah, it's more of we have a file, it's a shared Google Doc, and we use it for, feel good things. We have made a general plan, I haven't fleshed it out, but Liz is gonna start using them in social media and things like that. It just won't be here. I don't want to put the negative ones in the word, where, yeah, doing have feedback to that shit, so I don't.
Well, no, again, we had a discussion about how they handled negative correspondence and chose to not put it in the board packet, so I don't think, like, for consistency, I don't think there would be a problem with not including negative comments when the board's already decided not to do that.
Yeah, I feel like a negative comment toward a staff mate is more of a HR.
Right.
Staff issue.
We already tracked that.
Yeah, so it's not, that's not the purpose
Right.
of, I don't speak for you, but it feels like a different statement versus what you were trying to do.
Yeah. I view the report as how I saw them done before, which was all just the things you don't know that are going on. And if there's things you need to know that are negative, I wouldn't put it in the report that goes, I mean, I'd let you know in a way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Staff like seeing them, and some staff contribute more than others, right? That's why I put percent. Right? It's an interesting thing. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think we can see if it goes over okay with staff, and I can give you feedback.
Okay.
No, I mean, I think you're right, you're okay, myself. No,
See how staff feels about it, and bring it back for discussion again.
I mean, you could read them to staff and have it in the board
Yeah,
packet.
I can pull them out of there. I have to prompt them to do some also.
Look,
Yeah, when I go to make my report, I'll be like,
Right.
what happened with this one? Because we tend to focus on it, right? It's also a good practice as a leader to like remind people that you focus on the one negative comment, but you don't focus on it typically. Because that's just how we are as public student types.
So see how that goes with this for a little bit and bring it back for discussion another month or so.
Sure.
Any other discussion on it? Recording committee meeting?
Yeah, just, I think there have been some concerns in the community about transparency. So I know that there are other organizations that record their committee meetings and post it to the community. So I think that would be a great step for us to take, and just letting everything be completely transparent and have people see what's being discussed when they're not in the room.
How would you like to, what do you propose how to do it? The owl with
Well, we're all, I think all committee meetings are on Zoom now, right?
Personnel's in person. We could do it with now.
Okay.
Personnel, which we have done when we were hybrid, although we're trying to be in person. I have no problem with that because the technology exists.
Yeah, right. And then do you meet in person for treasure or?
No.
Or that's a Zoom, that's a Zoom? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, that's Zoom,
Are any other in person? Any other meetings in person?
just this personnel,
Mhm.
so,
I, just because I don't know,
So you're-
personnel, would there ever be? My
There's
concern
things
is,
about personnel, if, like when I was talking about somebody with their salary thing, they were interested.
right,
That's saying,
right.
yeah.
yeah, that would be my question, yeah, because not,
Well, right.
I'm comparing it to a HIPAA rule, it's
No, but
not
there's-
HIPAA, but it's like private,
Yeah,
personal.
I don't think that it happens enough to be a problem, but I could get advice on how to do it.
Okay. And then would you post them just in the minutes as well? Post them online? Like,
Should I tell the parents?
Yeah, we have a temporary meeting right now, that's not me. Scott's on vacation. So I was like, who's back? But it's good that they're here, because when he's here, yeah, I mean, we've done
I
it,
guess part of the board packet, just like posting the Zoom with that.
yeah, I think a way to do it.
Sure.
I'll figure it out how people do it, I can look at how
I think we need a motion and then we need a vote.
And then so all the other ones though are on Zoom.
On Zoom.
Already, so
And they're already recorded.
anybody can, oh, okay, so those are already able to be, okay.
I make a motion to record our committee meetings and post them online to make them available to the public.
Second.
Who's that? Yeah.
That was Nancy.
Holly,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Next up is call in public. Nine, when addressing the public, you're addressing the board as a whole, not just one individual. What you say sometimes maybe could be construed as libel and slander. Yeah, Richards.
I only can move it 0.75, so it will be a second before I get involved.
It's okay.
I wrote some thoughts, down because, I was disorganized last time that I spoke to. I hope you all had a good month. I will repeat my claim, to own and to having read many children's books. Therefore, I feel qualified to speak about children's literature. I've read 3 more books that have been removed from the teen section, and one was the 57 bus. It's a 300 book and in the teen section, and it looks like it's been read very often. It's now located in the back of the adult book section. The 70 books I have read out of the 220 would not harm a child for life if they happen to open it. This book doesn't have any pictures, doesn't have any swear words, doesn't have any sex. If it was taken from the shelf and opened, but I will continue to read the rest of the books on that back shelf. The last 16 books behind the adult section, which are being held back for no reason, for this board has not proved a modicum of existence that these books are harmful to teens. You, 2 of you, have said that you have read these books cover to cover. Therefore, you know that there are books that are not harmful to children. Please consider returning, at least evaluating those 160 books, which are on the back wall of the adult section, to their original place.
30 seconds remaining.
Providing guidance for placement of age-appropriate materials does not mean yanking them off the shelf and moving them to the back wall without evaluation. Our collection is very balanced. I've actually checked. I've gone in and checked what books are there. They're balanced for everyone.
Tonight, I want to speak not only to this board, but to everyone listening. Whether you are here in this room, watching online, or hearing these words sometime in the future. I want to be clear. This board does not represent the values of this library or the community it serves. Over the past year, a community of people who in most cases did not know one another have come together because they are deeply concerned about what is happening to our library. We come from different backgrounds, different perspectives, and different political viewpoints. So the notion that a small group of radical people opposing the board is false. Anyone who understands democracy opposes what we are doing. To recap, books were moved unilaterally following a review that, by its own findings, determined that nearly none of the books actually needed to be moved. This is not meaningful community engagement. This is not responsible stewardship. And it certainly is not democracy. It is censorship. And beyond the individual books, there's a larger issue here. The future of this library is at stake. The question I raised last month still has not been answered. Do you have a plan to protect this library's funds if these actions result in litigation? That question can be answered tonight, yes or no. Without an answer, the only reasonable conclusion is that you do not. And if that's the case, then you are knowingly placing the financial security and the potential future of the very library you swore to serve at risk. This community deserves better. Our library deserves better. Thank you.
Word comments? Any others from the word comments?
Thank you. I want to commend once again, is Darlene, I know we've been converting this highway. Sarah, you understand, and everybody, it is a major accomplishment to get to a contract signing, and you have gotten there. And the work you have put on, and the diligence that you have done, is to be commended. There is so much going on that is so positive in the library, and as a direct result, that you and everyone has to do it. So I wanted to yet again, and every opportunity that I have, acknowledge that. And I also wanted to acknowledge the fact of the matter is, you are always looking to provide services, things of interest to the kids. We were getting all this electronic stuff. They should continually looking for ways to improve our digital footprint and everything. So again, every time that I have an opportunity, I want to acknowledge that. I want to acknowledge the wonderful things that are being done. As we say, in a way, Cromaine is more than just books. As I say, we serve the community. We were at the Partners in Progress dinner, and not only is what is happening on the lawn going to benefit the library, but it's going to benefit the entire community, the entire township, the village, and everything. So again, every time I have an opportunity, I would like to just say a very big huge thank you, and you guys are just doing what you guys have. It's major. We have hit major milestones because of your diligence. So thank you. Thank you for all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to forget it.
Yeah, I have a comment. So January 2025, there was a lot of talk about the change in the board and how this board is going to protect free speech, allow everyone and all trustees to fully share their opinions, et cetera, et cetera. I have now been silenced 3 times by this board. I had had the question called twice in the middle of a sentence. And tonight, you silenced me from even asking a question when I had to miss the 2 meetings where discussion took place. That is the opposite of free speech. That is the opposite of open debate. What are you afraid of that you keep silencing me. I sat in that position. I never silenced any of you. I never told you you couldn't put anything on the agenda. Because that's not how this is supposed to work. I don't expect a response here. Don't expect an answer to the question, what are you afraid of? But it needs to be said, and it needs to be called to the attention of the community that not everybody's voice is valued equally here. That's all.
I'll address it. I'm not afraid of anything. And it's after this book discussion, it is time for this community to look at the positive things here as well that we're doing. The decision was made for the book challenge, and it's like, it's done. It was decided. It's a matter of why put it on the agenda again, and it shouldn't have been on the agenda after the board discussed it, but the director wanted it on the agenda, and I shouldn't have put that on the agenda to do another follow-up. But once the board has made a decision to do that, we are supposed to support that.
Why is that only a rule now and not when you have problems with the board votes?
What do you mean?
I mean, in 2023, we looked at policy 3010. We discussed policy 3010. We got a legal review on policy 3010. And we voted in September unanimously to approve policy 3010. And then in December, March, April, May, June, and August following that, it was brought up every month. If we're a board that doesn't allow further discussion after a decision has been made, then I would have shut that down. And I don't believe it is fair to this community to say, we made a decision, sit down and shut up. There are legitimate concerns here. There's legal exposure here. And we're not even going into closed session until after the September meeting. Like, what are we doing? You're telling the community to just get over it?
No. Just so the community is aware of this, we are going to go into closed session in September to discuss this with legal. Legal was not able to come to this, to come. We didn't think that we would have quorum for this meeting for legal to come. So, and then the next available date per Open Meetings Act, you have to have the minutes. So it's like we're working with everybody's schedules. The next available date to have quorum was the meeting in September.
But we can all show up when a special meeting is called and we're given 48 hours notice.
We've been presented with the past 2 years, extraordinarily extreme situations. And so I think everyone is trying to manage it as best as we know. The things that we've been doing have been unprecedented. The 200+ book challenge that hit the library, for me, came out of left field. It was unprecedented. Everybody agreed it was unprecedented. What do we do? How do we handle this? So from my perspective, because there's a lot of conversation and opinion on we did it because we're silencing voices, we're silencing a special group of people, we're doing it because of hate speech. So I can't, and I won't speak for others, I don't think they're doing that myself, but I can speak for myself. The process that we were doing, it got untenable. We knew it. People were getting to a point where they weren't reading the books. You admitted that you could read 10 books a month.
And I read all of them.
Yeah, and that's fair, that's fine. But if you do that, this would have gone on for 2 more years.
Right.
Which
would have
only
voted
fine.
to follow the staff suggestion and end it that way. Instead, we have exposed the library.
Well, that is to be debated. But I will tell you, to drag on for 2 or 2+ more years, from my perspective, and that, I want to say that, from my perspective, to let this drag on, to take the community through that, to take the patrons through that, to continuously have negative articles being written and negative things being said about the library, I took the position that it was, and right or wrong, but that's what I did. I took the position, the book challenge, which whole kit and caboodle, we'll do something with it, we'll close book challenge. Sarah's got thoughts in regards to the next time, if there's 1,000 books, one book come in, but it was unmanageable. And again, I'll say it again, for me,
Are
it came
are
out,
we having a discussion now?
right, and this is for, no, we're not. This is for Sarah, this is for
Well, you said my name.
Yeah, so I'll refrain from bringing you into it. But I feel like I'm in a situation where I need to explain that. And no matter
That's why I wanted
what's
to have
gonna
this
happen, whatever.
I'm doing the discussion.
No, I will stop my comment. This is board comment period.
I know.
This is board comment period. And I feel like it's necessary, as me as a board member, to make a comment in regards to this. So that's my comment. So I will end it there. And then allow any other board member to make their comment.
Well, I just would hope that it doesn't set a precedent for being able to pull something out or add items to the agenda, because, I mean, Holly's right. I can't remember another time where we have said no to having a discussion about a topic. And that's not a healthy way to conduct board.
Yeah.
I think we should continue this next time as an item on the agenda.
I don't think we should. And we're gonna go around and around in circles yet again.
Well, community is pretty clear on.
Right.
But I'll bring it up as
The
an
community
agenda
is
item
so-
next time and you can vote me down.
All right, and if we wanna play that little game, the next.
Not a game, I never silenced you.
I never silenced you either.
You
I just
just
say, I
did.
never silenced you. I never silenced.
You just did.
I just, you can have your opinion and I can have my opinion.
It seems we're having a discussion here.
So I'll be friends with it.
Any other work? Well, I'd like to give a shout out to Heather, who came to the farms, and I believe she did during our walkthrough. I believe she did get some new library cards signed up and that too. That was great to see her, and it's always great to see her. We kind of set it up a little different this year, so I think they actually had more exposure.
Okay.
So it was great to see her for that as well.
Yeah, they went to every school.
That's a lot. That is a lot, and that's tiring, so just a shout out for that as well. And I really do want to address the community as well, and it's just like, I'm hoping the community is excited that a couple meetings ago, that we have this wonderful project. You've heard tonight from Liz as to how we're doing so good with our strategic plan and our goals and doing that, and I commend the people that are behind that as well for doing that. And then it's huge and it's gonna be wonderful. And I'm just hoping that the community is excited about it as well. And one other thing too, we've implemented a new program here, which has been, I'm not quite sure how it's working there, but we're kind of doing a closed captioning type of thing for hearing impaired. That's one thing that Dawn was looking into to do, and then it seems like it's implemented this meeting, and I think it's working okay, that at least you can read what we're saying. Is it working okay? There's a little bit of a delay. Okay, so just a shout out for that as well. We're trying. Okay.
Have you been talking about Hot Beat?
No.
Okay, so, well, it's a work in progress. So let's just say we're trying.
You would be amazed at some of the words that.
Okay.
Do we have a castle?
We should get one.
Well, it's a work in progress for that then. Okay. Any other board comments? Agenda items for the next meeting. Personnel Committee is September 3rd. Community Relations is September 9th. Finance Committee is the 10th, and then the Board of Trustees is the 7th.
Tuesday.
It might be the 10th. If it's on Tuesday. Oh. I will bear.
Temporary.
To be.
To be determined.
Maybe for finance.
Sorry.
We've got bylaws next month.
Yep.
And that's good.
There are motion to adjourn.
Okay. Oh, I like your.
You're adjourned.